So today I'm going to be comparing another watch to my Tudor Pelagos, and this one makes a little more sense because they're both divers this time, and I feel like these are very cool watches. The first watch, I mean not the first watch, but the watch I'm comparing to is the Zodiac Super Seawolf, and I think it's interesting the price difference between them, what you get versus what you don't get in one and the other, and hope you enjoy the video. I think these two watches really do represent the kind of best in their price point, in my own opinion. On the used market, the Zodiac can be found for under $1,000. On the used market, the Pelagos can be found under $3,200, if you're lucky, even under $3,000. So there is about a 3 times price difference between the Zodiac and the Tudor, but you know, there are some upgrades and advancements, and of course personal taste and brand history and whatnot. So let's just compare these two watches. I think right off the bat we should just take some dimensions. It's about a 40.5 millimeter diameter, but that is with the bezel. Without the bezel, we're actually looking at a 39 millimeter case. We're gonna have a lug to lug distance of 49 millimeters, a case height of about 13.5, and a lug width of 20. The Tudor, by contrast, is about 42 millimeters with the bezel, closer to 41 millimeters without the bezel, 50 millimeters lug to lug, 22 millimeter lug width, and a height of about 14.2 to 14.5. A couple of specifications for these watch: we have a titanium watch with ceramic bezel, stainless steel clasp, in-house movement, the MT, I believe the MT5612, in-house movement, 70-hour power reserve, silicone hairspring, which allows for magnetic resistance. In the Zodiac here, we have a actual mineral crystal bezel. Both of them have sapphire crystals. This has the STP313 movement, which actually has a swan neck regulator, which just allows for a little bit more of a fine-tune adjustment. It's just based off an ETA architecture, so nothing too fancy in the movement, but that's what we have. We have 200 meters of water resistance here, 500 meters of water resistance here, screw down crowns on both of the watches, and the Zodiac is stainless steel. And it also does not come on this bracelet. This is just a Jubilee bracelet from Watch Gecko. We see that the Pelagos is a larger watch. What is kind of interesting, if I bring the calipers back in here, is if we just measure the dial diameters, we have a diameter of about 31 millimeters on the Zodiac dial, and on the Tudor dial, it's about 32. So we have about a little less than a millimeter of difference between the two dials. However, this is a 40 millimeter watch with bezel, and this is a 42 millimeter watch with bezel. So realistically, the bezels on the Tudor are just a little bit larger, and they also made the case larger. So I feel like if they could have sized down on the case, this watch would have been a home run. It would have fit a lot more wrists. This watch is just a lot more slender because of its slimmer case and smaller case, so it will fit a greater variety of wrist sizes. But just comparing the two dials, I would say it really is a matter of taste. We have a very nicely done dark, very, very dark blue inner dial here with a white circular around the outside there. We have silver applied markers, a silver applied Zodiac logo, and again this mineral crystal baby blue bezel here, and a matching hour hand, which I really like. While with the Tudor, we have blue everywhere. It is just one solid color of blue, a nice matte blue. As you can kind of tell at some angles, the Tudor dial actually has a graining to it, so it has a little bit of a visual interest, but it's really not noticeable from the wrist that often. We have the nice square hour markers, the triangle at the 12, and the snowflake handset, which you either love them or hate them. These batons I feel like are more widely loved than the snowflake, but again, matter of personal preference. We have more text on the dial on the Pelagos, which some may like, some may not like. A little less text on the Zodiac, but again, all comes down to a matter of preference. Really quickly comparing the cases of the watch so we can move on to the wearability. We see that the Tudor case is brushed on the sides and polished on the lug tops. The brushing, I would say, is not done incredibly well. It's kind of like not very fine like you would expect. But overall, it is a sub $1,000 watch. I've seen better finishing in sub $1,000 watches, but the finishing isn't really the main show of this watch. It's all about the dial and the colors. On the Tudor, we have the all brushed titanium case with the little chamfer along the sides here. Very nicely done. Both of the case backs are just plain. The Zodiac is a little less plain because it has like the little Zodiac, has a little Zodiac embossment and some little information there. As you can see with the Zodiac, the lugs do curve down at a very particular angle, and they even come down lower than the case back does, so that'll allow it to wear a little better on the wrist. The Tudor, there is a slight curvature. If you see this kind of line right here, goes down slightly here at the end, but it does not extend past the case back. So it'll wear a little less flatly on the wrist, but again, not too bad. So let's try on these watches and kind of see the difference in how they wear. We'll go with the Zodiac first. You see here on the Zodiac, I think it fits pretty proportionally on my wrist. The lugs do not overhang. The 49mm lug to lug distance is a little larger than I would have preferred. 47 would have been pretty nice, but they did turn the lugs down at a very steep angle, so I think it does wear well on the wrist regardless. I would just say impressions from the wrist, like it really is a watch that stands out. It has shiny top lugs, so it stands out in that sense. It has this nice blue color, which really just pops off the wrist. It has this white, so that it actually adds more visual interest to the watch. I think what Zodiac did was really nice here because they already made a 39mm case, but they make it almost visually smaller by actually separating the dial into this even smaller subcircle here, which I dig. I think it's cool. I like how many colors they used on this watch and how well executed the colors were done. But yeah, overall, wears very thinly to the wrist, very relatively slim casing. Overall, very well done, I think. Now here we have the Tudor, and again, my wrist is 6.5 inches. The Tudor is 1mm larger than the Zodiac, but I think visually it wears even larger than the Zodiac does because the lugs don't turn down as much as the Zodiacs do. I think impressions from the wrist, the matte dial, the grayness of the titanium compared to the very light gray of stainless steel makes this a watch that doesn't really pop out in any way. It's understated. It is very nice with the blue and the white contrast and just the blue in general. It adds a playfulness to the watch. It goes from being a full tool watch at the black version of this watch to almost a dressier leaning tool watch. It adds a fun element, a little pop of color, a little pizzazz to the watch. Even though it doesn't conform as nicely, as you see there is a little gap between my wrist here, in comparison to the Zodiac, I still think it does wear very well for its size. And I think these female lug ends right here help very much in it fitting well. If these were male end links, this watch would be too large for a lot of smaller wrists. The fact that they're able to go down so immediately just into the wrist, and the fact that there's just so much articulation in this very well done bracelet, it allows it to just fit really nicely. Getting into a little bit of a Lume battle here. We have the Tudor on the right and the Zodiac on the left. As you can see, the Tudor is much more well done. There's more lume applied. It is brighter lume, stronger lume, better lume. The full bezel is loomed on the Tudor, while only the pip is loomed on the Zodiac. The markers glow better on the Tudor. I mean, it's a no contest. What I do like about the Zodiac is there's actually a differentiation in color between the hour and the minute hand. As you can see, the hour hand is green leaning, while the minute hand is actually blue leaning. And the hour pip is actually that kind of same shade of blue. So I think that's a really nice addition, an extra step they didn't have to take, but they did, so it's, commendable. But The Lume is pretty weak overall and nothing that you're going to be impressed by. Here we have the 3 watches in comparison to the Timex. If we bring the Tudor up here, I mean, it's just bright in its own right. The color temperature, I think, is a little better on the Tudor. It's just nice. If we bring the Zodiac up here, the Timex is blowing it away. The Zodiac isn't shining very brightly, and that's just, you know, it's just an area where they fell short. I think these are 2 cool watches. They definitely have their differences, and I would say that the Tudor is a better watch. It's made out of titanium. It's better built. The bezel action, if you can hear it, the Zodiac is very muted. It's muffled. It doesn't have a very reassuring click. It is 120 click versus the Tudor 60, but the Tudor 60 is a good 60. It has a very defined click. It has a very nice action to it. You're not going to turn this on accident. It's just built for purpose and built well. What I like about these 2 watches is that neither of them are trying to be a Submariner. They're their own thing. The Tudor is unapologetically Tudor. It has snowflake hands. It has a blue colorway, which really isn't seen on Rolex or Rolex subs unless you're talking about the Smurf, but that's super expensive. The Tudor is a really well-priced watch. I think $4,400 new, around $3,000 on the used market. It has titanium case, beautiful finishing, a beautiful bracelet, amazing clasp. It has just a lot of details, like how much depth there is in that dial. It is really super it's just so nice. The way the markers fit into the little chapter ring there rather than being outside of them. The design was thought about and executed well. It has a matte ceramic bezel insert, so the ceramic bezel insert will hold up well over time. You know, sapphire crystal, the beautiful matte blue, which is just seen everywhere. They did it in the hand stack. They did the hands in this very stark white outlining versus leaving it on silver or something such as that. You got 500 meters of water resistance with a helium escape valve, a beautiful screw down crown with an amazing knurling on it, a nice embossment in the logo. Very well done clasp, as I said again. Ceramic ball bearings in the clasp so they don't wear down ever. Very just well done and amazing for the price. But this Zodiac I don't think is a slouch in its own right. The stock strap that it comes on is this canvas, horrible canvas strap. It is just very tough. It's hard to conform to the wrist. It looks nice and the color matches well, but it just doesn't fit well. So I have it on this Jubilee. I think it matches both the vintage aesthetic and the dressier aesthetic that this watch is giving off. And that's something I do want to note. This is more of an unapologetic tool watch. It's larger, it's more understated. This is kind of more of a dress diver. It has fun colors, it is a little more shiny, it fits a little more slimly because it's kind of made to be dressed up more. But again, we have this beautiful, what they call mineral K1, I believe, bezel, which is just a mineral crystal bezel. And it is called acid etched because it still has all the markings in here. But it has beautiful color to it and a beautiful consistency. We have a nice design language here with nice white outer ring, the nice silver applied markers, the applied Zodiac logo. On the Tudor, we have nothing that's silver applied. We do have applied markers, but they're done in a matte style. It's a matte white, stark white finish. But here we have the shiny silver that just plays with the light. But again, with the Zodiac, we have, again, a screw-down crown, 200 meters of water resistance, and kind of in-house movement. Technically, STP is owned by Fossil, but I think Fossil also owns Zodiac, so it's it's kind of an in-house movement. But yeah, we have a very nice movement. It's well decorated. You obviously can't see it because we have a closed case back, which is a bummer. But it has a swan neck regulator, so it can be more easily adjusted. And if you ever have problems with the movement, you can always just pop an ETA in there and it'll work still. So that's always nice. In the end, if you're going pound for pound, spec for spec, the Tudor's the winner here. The dial is more dynamic. The titanium is higher quality than the stainless steel. The clasp is way, way, way better. First off, it has a bracelet where the Zodiac doesn't even have a bracelet. It's made out of ceramic in the bezel. It's 500 meters water resistant to 200 meter water resistance here. And the lume is killer. But the Zodiac is a fun and cool piece. And it's a third of the price of the Tudor. So I'm not trying to say that the Zodiac is a better watch, because in technicality it isn't. But sometimes the best watch isn't always the better watch. You kind of have to find what works for you, what you want in a watch. Did you want a no-nonsense, beautiful, but still very utilitarian diver? It has the little interesting elements like the snowflake hands, the nice blue color, but in the end it still is very built to task, no nonsense with the titanium finishing? Or did you want something that was a little more fun? Did you want something that was out of the box? Do you want some colors that are fun and playful and very summery and very light? The Zodiac is a great option. It's an undervalued brand. They go for good prices on the used market. And I just think this is a very cool watch. It's a nice alternative to the Squales and the Zins and the micro brands that you can find at the same price point, or even Oris, for example. It's just, I think, a very cool watch, and I just wanted to pin it up against this Tudor because I think it kind of represents how different two watches can be. These are made for two different occasions. They're the same style of watch, but in the end, which one you like, which one your wallet can afford, and which one looks better to you is, again, a matter of personal preference. So I hope you got something out of this review, and I hope to see you again in another one.